Hello guys, how are you doing today? So today we are going to learn that how we can create a click listener of a row, that if we click on a row in our list view, then it should view our all the data like the name and the image, and how it can display it, and we can pass this data to the intent as well. So we are going to see that how on clicking on a row we can pass the data to a new file. In this video we are currently looking for that how we are going to actually fetch the data on the row click, and in my next video we'll see that how we can pass the data as an intent to the next file when we click on a single content of a list view. So we'll go ahead, and this is the project from my last video, so you can download it from the comment section of my last video. And we are going to make some changes in the main activity file. Here I am going to add certain things. First of all, I am going to create a click listener of a row. So for that I am going to define it like row dot set on click listener, and this would help me to make my row clickable. So now we'll take a new adapter and we'll add on click listener. For this we don't need a on item click listener, we only need a click listener for this, and we are going to implement its method on click. And here we are going to add our functionality, that what would be happen if we'll click on single row. So this is very simple. You just have to pick up your variable in which you have actually passed your data. For me it's row, and you just have to place a set on click listener, so this will make your row clickable. And we are going to take here a cursor data. This I am going to use as to fetch the data in my database. So this is my database class which I am going to use, and I am going to give it a function name as get item id, as I am going to get my item id and all the data belonging to that id. So I am going to use this, and then we are going to put here food dot get name, which we have already used. And this function is basically to have the name of the current food item which is related to the id. So we are going to add these function in our database helper class. So we'll go ahead and add these functions here. So function is public cursor and get item id, and here I am going to pass SQLite database and a variable of this type, and I am going to assign it this dot get writable database to it. And here we are going to create a select query. So I am going to take a string variable query, and I am going to pass a select query in it. Select star from, and here we are using our variable called table name, and then we are going to define the where condition. We'll put this in quotes, and my field name is equal to, we are going to pass the variable here. So this variable we are going to get from here. So I'll take string name through this method, but it's showing some error. Let's check what the error is. I think it's because of this code. We're going to take cursor data and we are going to pass db dot row query, and we'll pass this query string here and we'll execute it and return data in the end. It's with capital C. The other parameter would be null for this. And let's go and check in our main activity. This is basically from our class which we have defined here. It's called my data and this would be the name, and here we'll copy this function name and we'll place this here. Because of case sensitive, it was giving some error, and now it's all fine. So we have what we did is we have passed the name of the current row data, and according to that we are going to get the ID. And what we are doing here is we are passing the name, and corresponding to this name we are getting the ID, so that when we click on our row, then we can get the ID of that particular name and all the other related data. Because we have pasted a star here, so all the data which would be related to that name would be fetched. But the condition here is, keep in mind that the data of this name should be unique, otherwise two things would be fetched at a time and that would create a problem. So for me, I have put it the unique name here and I'm going to show you, and this would be only fetching a single data for each row. Now let's go back to the main activity file, and here we are going to create one int variable. I'm going to name it as item ID and I'm going to assign it as -1 because there is no data of -1 ID. And I am going to take a string variable for my name, and I'll take one byte type variable for my image, and I'm going to name it as fruit name. And for byte, I am going to give it a name as fruit image. And we are going to keep it null as of now. And now I am going to create a while loop in which I am going to add data dot move to next. And since we are fetching this data here, so every time move to next would be called, the next field in the data would be called. So here I'm going to assign item ID is equal to data dot get int, which would be my 0th column. This is basically the data type of my first column, and this is the index value of my first column, and I am going to assign it to the item ID variable, which is of int type. And now I am going to take fruit name, and I am going to give it data dot get string, and we are going to define one here, and fruit image, and data dot get blob, and we are going to pass 2. So these all things we have. Now what we are going to do, we are going to check that if the item ID is greater than -1, means it has some data, then we are going to show our data. So I am going to add it in a toast message. So that when we click, it should show us a message. So on item click, I am going to pass here item ID plus, then I'm going to give a little bit of space, then our fruit name plus so this toast message is going to display the current item's ID, name, and the byte type as a string, the image, and it is going to show us the values of that row on which we would be clicking. So this condition would be only satisfy if there would be data, otherwise it would go to the else, and in else we'll put that there is no data. And now we have to create this function. So I'm going to keep it private only, and here we are going to pass this message toast dot length short this we actually have to create outside the function, base adapter class. On the custom adapter class, we are going to define this toast message out of that, and let's go ahead and run it and see whether the data is actually showing up when we click on a row or not. So this is my first window, and I am going to add here a fruit name, and I am going to choose one image. So it's inserted, and let's click it. So it's showing grapes, and then the ID is 1, and our image data as a string, and for second it's showing apple, 2, and image. Let's go ahead and we should add one more thing. So I'm going to give it a name as berry, and let's add this too, and let's check. So it's showing 3 Barry and the image data. So you can use this data to pass into an intent so that we can get the data in our edit file so that we can make the changes to our current data, and we can actually update our current data on clicking on the row. Now in my next video we are going to see that how we can actually create an intent to pass all this data on our clicking event. Here we are going to set up the intent and we'll pass this to the other activity where we can actually edit and update the data in our database, and we can update our list view. So thank you so much for watching. Keep subscribing, liking and sharing. Bye.